You know, I think that's what separates great hotels from hotels.
Yeah. Welcome to Hospitality Blueprint. We are in the countryside of West Dorset, having a little snoop around the gorgeous Summer Lodge Country House Hotel. And we are feeling very lucky to be sat here with Jack Mackenzie, General Manager of this beautiful venue. Thank you so much for having us.
Pleasure.
Really excited to talk to you about everything we've got coming up. So I'm going to get straight into it if that's all right.
Crack on.
Okay, what is one tradition or detail you'd never change, no matter how times evolve?
Oh, that's a good question. I think specifically for this hotel and for country house hotels, you never lose sight of the fact that the key word there is house. And house means home. So for us here, it needs to be as if we're welcoming someone into your home. I always tell the story, and it's one of my favorite things, because very rarely do you see such a graphic demonstration of a philosophy in life. Christmas a couple of years ago, and we'd done Christmas Day lunch, and I'd gone back to my office for a bit, and I come downstairs and lunch was over, and I went to the door of the drawing room, and the guests had moved the furniture. And they were sitting in a big semicircle around the fire, exactly as you would as if you were sat around the fire in your own home on Christmas Day. And I kind of just paused in the doorway for a minute or two, just kind of drank it in, you know. It was exactly what you're trying to achieve.
Yeah.
You know, they were comfortable enough in our environment to feel as if they were really at home. And I mean, that was, you know, you don't often get that. No. We say, you know, if you do just take a snapshot of that and hang it up on your wall, say, I managed to do that just once.
I've done it.
Yeah, exactly. You know, so I think for me, never losing sight of the fact that this used to be someone's home.
Yeah.
It's now a hotel. But if we can continue with that feeling that it's a home, not just a building, then I think we can never really go wrong with that.
That must have been a really nice site. Like a real
honestly,
heartwarming.
I dwell on this a lot because it's you know, so often you say, oh, this is what we aspire to do.
Yeah.
And when you see it actually in reality in a graphic way like that, that doesn't happen too often.
No, of course. Also, not only that, a bunch of people that were strangers
total
before,
strangers,
to then all come together. Summer Lodge has such a rich history. How do you balance tradition with modern expectations?
That's also a really good question. I think, and I think we're going through a phase of change now, probably again in the post-COVID world, faster than we've ever had to go through that before. I think we need to evolve in the same way that everything needs to evolve. I think the one thing which you have to really guard against is standing still. We need to be looking at, I hesitate to say trends because I'm not a great believer in trends, but you can certainly see the overall kind of pathways of where things are going. So, you know, our tech has got to be spot on. You know, it's those basics. And I think if you just said to yourself, well, most people at home are pretty well sorted out now from a tech perspective. And what you have at the hotel has to be like that at a minimum. But again, I think, you know, for me, that's probably the only thing that I would be saying that's where we need to be making changes. I think there's almost an argument for us that says you should be leaning the other way some way. You know, that in the fast-paced world that we live in, and I always sort of laughingly sort of say, is it those sort of funny phone calls that you get if someone calls up and say, I made a booking and I haven't had the confirmation yet. I'm so dreadfully sorry. When did you book? Half an hour ago.
Okay.
Got it. Okay. So, but that's just a great example of that's the pace that people's lives work at. And I more and more believe that when you come to somewhere like this, you should be embracing the alternative.
Yeah.
You know, this should be a refuge. It should be a safe space. That we've had people say to us, well, as you come into the driveway, you know, you feel the weight of the world lift off your shoulders. And when the first couple of people say it to you, you kind of go, oh, yeah, you know, because that's what people say. And then you hear it again and again and again. And you realize that this is not a mantra that they just kind of spout at you. They actually feel this way. I think our job is to be providing that more and more now. You know, people expect things to work and work well. That's fine. But for state of mind, that's something that we can provide.
Is there a guest story that stuck with you long after checkout?
I knew you were going to ask me something like this. And yeah, there are, but I think for me, rather than looking at one, I think we'll talk about a little bit of a broader spectrum, if that's okay with you. I think Alex and I were talking the other day about some guests. Alex, my wife, who we do this job together, so we're both GMs. We've been doing it together from the very start, and she had a letter from a guest, and it was just an update, just to say, hi, how are you? This is what's going on in our lives. And it was just the nicest thing. And we were talking about it afterwards and saying, you find yourself now in a position where people treat you as if you are part of their lives in a real way. You're not just here to provide a room. You've gotten to know them over the years. You know their kids' names. You know what's wrong with them. You know the troubles that they're going through, the struggles that they're facing, the successes that they've had, the trials, the tribulations, the joy, the pain, the heartache. They share that with you because you're a confidant. You are that person to them. I think that for me transcends a little bit the sort of guest hotelier relationship. But that's what we're aspiring to do. If you're going to make something real, then make it absolutely real. And I want to know what's happening in their lives in the same way that they're constantly asking me what's happening in mine. What are my children doing? What are my successes? What are my struggles? What are the things that I'm going through in my life? And it's a give and take relationship. I think as those relationships evolve over time, I think those are the things that really will live with you long past retirement. Knowing that you've had a positive impact on someone's life just by being who you are, where you are, and caring about them. And I think you can't ask much more than that.
No, absolutely. To make somebody feel safe enough and comfortable enough for them to take their own time out to write a message, a handwritten, which is unheard of in today's world, really pulls on the heartstrings.
Yeah, look, this is why for me, I think working in a small boutique hotel like this with only 25 rooms allows you to engage with your guests in a way that a 400-bedroom hotel you just can't. We can actually get to know people, and we're hugely fortunate here. I mean, we have incredible longevity within our guests. I mean, we have repeat business, which is fantastic. I mean, you are regularly, people coming back on their 15th, 20th, 30th, 40th, 50th stay. These are people that you know really well.
Yeah.
And they trust you. And they trust you with their personal details. They trust you with their information. They trust you with the intimate knowledge of their lives. And that all comes, I think, from us taking the time. It's us having the time initially and then using that time wisely to really get to know these people as people, not just as guests or someone who's coming through, or it's a percentage point on your occupancy or whatever that might be. I think that's what separates great hotels from hotels.